what we typically do is like we'll book for a few weeks out, right? And if someone's got a job that's like maybe a few months out or 6 months out or something, we'll just be like, oh, you know what? I'll call you back when we get a little bit closer, or call me when you get a little bit closer to making a decision, right? But what this is actually doing is missing out on a huge, huge advantage for your painting business. And I want to walk you through like how I really utilize this as an advantage, and then how you can really utilize this in your painting business quite easily.
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe.
What's up, everybody? Michael Hickman here, founder of paintergrowth.com, and you're listening to a Phoenix version of the Painter Growth Podcast. Well, I am still off-site, not with my regular microphone, not in my studio. So apologize for the audio quality, but hey, I'm wearing a tank top. So if you're into that, then awesome. Thanks for being here. So today, what we're going to be doing is chatting about a huge advantage that is really underutilized in the painting space. You know, what we typically do is like we'll book for a few weeks out, right? And if someone's got a job that's like maybe a few months out or 6 months out or something, we'll just be like, oh, you know what? I'll call you back when we get a little bit closer, or call me when you get a little bit closer to making a decision, right? But what this is actually doing is missing out on a huge, huge advantage for your painting business. And I want to walk you through like how I really utilize this as an advantage, and then how you can really utilize this in your painting business quite easily, and a few of the tools that you're going to need. And I'll give you the templates and stuff during this podcast. So if you hit the description below, you'll be able to download the various resources that we talk about today, um, like our production schedule and our book Job Postcard, and some other things like that. So basically, in my painting business, what I would do is like starting January, like starting the very first start of January, and I was running my business in Canada, where in January it is very cold and very dark. I don't know if you've ever been to Saskatchewan in January, but like we're talking -20, right? Piles of snow everywhere. And we would have our door-to-door teams, we'd be doing other advertising, flyers, door hangers. And our guys would be going door to door in the -20, -30, -40 Celsius. I'm not even kidding. Like very cold. You adjust some things, you make sure everyone's safe and short shifts and things like that. But what we would do is we would start booking work. Now we'd book interior work, and we'd have that going, all year. But we would start booking exterior work. So where I'm from, exterior work you can paint from about May till middle of October. So starting in January, we'd start booking for the following year. So if we're going door to door and the client's like, hey, we're actually looking for some exterior work next summer, instead of me just like shutting the door on them or taking their lead or whatever, like, okay, that's awesome. Because did you know that right now is actually the best time to book your job for this coming summer? For a few reasons. Number one, our production schedule, it fills up really quick. So if you're interested in painting next year, this is actually the best time to book. Not only will you get a pick of when you want it done, but you're also going to benefit from this year's pricing. And just factoring in inflation and pricing increases, this is going to be the cheapest your paint job will ever be. And on top of that, we're also offering a special incentive by booking before the end of the month, where you're going to save an extra 10% off. So not only are you going to save money on your paint, you're going to save money on labor and inflation, you're also going to get another 10% off. Now, that extra 10% discount is not always needed, but it can be nice to help secure the deal, especially if you're on like the 99-yard line with the client and you're just trying to get them across the line, right? So it's to just kind of clarify that. Um, the benefits, like, they get to pick the schedule, you get this year's pricing, you get it off your mind, right? So it's not just about booking it and, having the pricing thing, but also just the peace of mind for the homeowner to know that it's been handled and it's in good hands, it's going to get taken care of, right? So in my painting business, between January and May, we booked, between 400 and $500,000 of work for the summer. And so what that would allow us to do is ramp up summer production really quickly. Instead of waiting till summer to start booking that exterior work, we already had the first couple of months of work booked out. So we would start the year strong, start the summer production strong with 12 to 16 painters, and just really capitalize on the short production window that we had in our summer area. So um, if you're doing this and you're able to set those expectations, it will give you a huge advantage when it comes to booking work, producing it, and maximizing your production window. Now, some of y'all are live in places like this, like Phoenix or Florida or wherever, and you don't have winters. And I mean, you could be doing it the opposite way with, I guess you guys would probably prefer to produce in the winter when it's not quite so hot, not quite so humid. I know there's some humidex issues in Florida where you can't paint when it's too humid. And um, in Phoenix, if it's 100 degrees, you can't really paint, I guess, unless you're in the shade. But there's some issues there. So you just kind of work around that and work based on your constraints that you're in your area. So I kind of just walk through the expectations to booking the estimates. Now, if you can book the estimate with that presupposition that they're looking to book for next year, well, you've already handled 90% of the objections. The last thing, to book the estimate, then the last thing you need to do is make sure that you can close it. Now, closing the estimate and winning the deal is pretty much the same way that you would close an estimate to win the deal if you're booking it for a couple of weeks out. So you want to go into the customer's home. You want to do a full walk around the home to make sure you understand their job. Do a walk around with them, even if there's 2 feet of snow. You want to get on your boots and go walk around with the homeowner so you can touch the substrate and you can show them what you're going to be doing. Talk about the project. Make sure you understand the scope. And then what you're going to do is go back into your vehicle and write up the detailed proposal. And I know exteriors can take a little bit of time to estimate, but still, even if that's the case, do not go home. Don't go write it up when you get home and spend the time and sit down at your desk and whatever. You don't need your dual monitors to do it. Just get it done in your computer, in your truck, and either print it out or bring in an iPad. Okay. So you're going to bring the iPad back in. You're going to sit down at the kitchen table with the homeowners, and you're going to go through the proposal line by line, sell to their needs. Hopefully during the discovery process, you understand what their needs are. Make sure to communicate the benefits of booking so early and why they're doing it. Um, and then close the deal on the spot. You need to ask for the job. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, to complete this painting project for you at the quality that we'd like. It's actually going to be $12,481. And in order to book that in today, we just take 20%. And 20% of that is going to be $2,400 or whatever the number is. How would you like to handle that? Right. And so you do have to take a deposit. That's how it works. Right. You need to take a deposit in order to lock in that production. I would usually take 10% at that time. Um, since then, I've kind of moved more towards the 20%, but 10% will have a lower objection rate, and also it makes it a little bit easier to not get offside with your cash flow, because taking 20% and utilizing all of that cash flow way ahead of time, you can run into some tricky situations. 10%, you're really not going to run into that situation, and then you're also going to have some capital to work on your production. But whichever one works for you, 10%, 20%, you can test out both, see what kind of works the best, lands the best for you and your clients. So once they say yes and they pay you that 20% or that 10% deposit, what you now need to do is give them what we call a book job postcard. Now, a book job postcard is just a postcard that you give them when you book a job with when they book with you. So you're going to have a postcard that's going to have expectations on it, and you can get a template below where it tells them. Let me just open the one up that I have. It is book your job, select your time frame, select your colors. We're going to call you 2 to 4 weeks before we start painting to narrow down the start date. Schedule a time to test colors. If it's exterior, some pressure washing details. Before we start, the foreman will contact you. After painting complete, we'll do a walkthrough, Google review and payment. They're just really setting the expectation on when they're going to be hearing from you. And it's also important to write their approximate production date on that postcard too, so they can take that, they can magnet it to their fridge or put it on and pin it up to their little noteboard, and it's always front of mind and that they know it's handled. So definitely use a book job postcard. And the next thing is ongoing reminders and communication. Now, this is really important these days where we just need to have that constant communication. So what you just need to do is set up in your CRM. And if you're not using a CRM, what are you doing? Use a CRM. They're very affordable and very helpful. To email them once every 2 to 4 weeks all year. So just with some reminders, just with some updates, and just letting them know of the production date, and reminding them that you are still top of mind, you are still in their production schedule, and that nothing has changed. And if anything does change, then you need to communicate that with them, right? Have the timeline, have the estimated production date in those automations. And no matter what CRM you're using, very possible to have those sent out. Now, The next thing that you need to do is make sure that you use a production schedule. So we have a production schedule or a production planner. You can use Google Calendar, but I don't really recommend it. Google Calendar is good when you're doing like 1, 2, or 3 crews. But if you ever have ambitions to grow beyond that, you need to use a dedicated production schedule. So we have a spreadsheet that we use with our clients, and you can actually have a free copy right now. I'm going to put it in the description below, and it's going to give you the step by step on how to schedule out 10, 12 crews. So you're going to be able to go to next summer and look at the spaces for your crew. So as you book jobs, you can literally block them into your calendar. You're going to see how many days they takes, how many hours each one is going to take, what the revenue is. And it's just a really, really clean way, very simple way to manage your production to make sure that you're staying on track. You know where your jobs are, you know which one of your painters, which one's your crews is going to be doing those. And then as you book future jobs, once you start filling it up, you can use it as a sales tool. So you can show your clients the production schedule and be like, look how many jobs we have booked. Where would you, oh, look, this is a smaller job. We can fit you right here in between these 2 jobs, right? And what we also do on that production schedule is color code the jobs: green, yellow, or red. Green means they're very movable. We can move the jobs around when the homeowner isn't too concerned about the date and time. Yellow means there's some restrictions apply. We can move it a little bit, but we want to pretty like keep it as close as we can. And then we have red, which is like these homeowners express that they need to have the project done around this time. So if you follow those kind of 3 color coding, guide when you're doing your production scheduling, it's going to be a lot easier to remember the notes, remember the details about each homeowner, and really align expectations and make sure everyone is on the same page and no expectations are missed. Because if you're booking jobs a few weeks out, you can typically remember all the details. But if you're booking jobs 6 months out, 8 months out, chances are you're going to forget about those details. Which actually brings me to the final note here, which is customer notes. In your CRM, because these projects are happening so far away, it's crucial, absolutely mission critical, that you take very detailed notes in your CRM. So you want to really outline, um, expectations, kids, pets, details, pros, cons, benefits, needs, desires, things like that, with or in your CRM, so that when time comes for you or your production manager or foreman to look at the notes and call the homeowner, they can pick up the conversation exactly where you left off. And I really just can't emphasize how important this is, especially if you live in a place that does get cold over the winter, because the advantage that it's going to give you for your business is just so outsized. It's just so incredible how valuable this is to be able to go into summer and have hundreds of thousands of dollars of work booked. If the average job size for a solid exterior is $8,000 and you book 1 out of 3, right? So you're booking like $2,600 per estimate. And say you want to book, $300,000 of work ahead of time. 300,000 divided by 2,600 is 115 estimates. So, at 1.20%, let's say 30% lead slippage, that's 150 leads. So if you can get 150 leads for exterior ahead of time, you're going to be able to book, you know, $300,000 work ahead of time, and just extrapolate that based on your average job size and your slippage rate and your close rate. And to get those leads, do what you do. If you've watched this podcast for long enough, you'll be able to get there. You'll be able to book that work door to door, door hangers, flyers, and really niche down on your approach. So have an exterior specific flyer. And if you can have an exterior or a siding or a stucco or a trim specific flyers that are going out, followed by your door to door, you're going to be able to stack those campaigns and really land those jobs. Super valuable, right? If it's snowing, right, -20, and someone gets a gets a flyer about exterior painting, they're not going to think too much of it until someone knocks on the door and be like, you know what, we are thinking about it now. And if you want to get my help a little bit more, and you want to work with us, but you don't want to spend a lot of money, then go to skool.com/paintergrowth. We'll put that link below, and we'll help you book your next 5 jobs for $97. So we've got my personal help. We have a weekly Q&A call. We have some training videos you're going to be able to go through, and we're going to help you get some momentum in your business. That being said, that's skool.com/paintergrowth. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.